All right, welcome to another episode of Charlie and the Boys. I am your host, Steven Chalicum, and you can follow me and the boys on Twitter at ChallyATB. And thankfully, joined with me again tonight, as most of the time, are both of the co-hosts, Will and Stash. Gentlemen, are you ready for the big night? No? Okay,
Yes.
got it.
Is that Thanksgiving or something?
I don't
What's the big
fucking
night?
just the show, the
Oh, okay.
the recording.
We're here, baby. So yeah,
We're here.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, so I think what we kind of have on the old docket for you guys tonight is a little post-game review from the Vikings matchup against the Cowboys and potentially a little pre-game look, if that's the right English, into the Giants matchup, the Cowboys and Giants matchup on Thanksgiving. But we'll start with the Vikings game. Um, a 40-3 fucking whopping blowout, whatever you want to call it. Dallas put up pretty handily against the Vikings. Stash, let's start with you. I guess what's your immediate reaction to that, if any?
I
Mm.
mean, my immediate reaction is that's what this offense needs to do for this team to win. If they can put up points fast and like that, better watch out because this defense is coming at you and coming at you fast.
Yeah, Will, got
True.
anything to add to that?
Yup. I
Oh,
uh I picked the Vikings to win. Mistake on me, but I also want to say that it's pretty clear that Curse and Parsons listened to the podcast because I called them out both on two consecutive podcasts, and then they both played really well last week. So clearly they're listening, and I appreciate it and continue listening.
yeah, only
Yeah.
if they actually were. Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
know.
I'm in the same boat. Right? Like, I picked the Vikings to win. I don't know that, and not that I need to defend myself because I'm happy, obviously Dallas won. But I think after the Packers game, it'd be pretty easy to say, man, yeah, the Cowboys looked like shit. They've been inconsistent, week in and week out. So who knows what we're even going to get in the Giants game? But let's not get there yet.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, the offense like Stash said, did exactly what we're kind of looking for them to do. Is extremely consistent, extremely or highly efficient, right? Like Dak had a like high 80% completion percentage, maybe even a little close to 90. I don't have that number right in front of me. Shame on me. But he was
22 of
like,
20, 22 of 25.
yeah, and one of
He-
those should have been caught by Schultz, so even a little slightly higher on Dak's, stat sheet or whatever. But neither here nor there. Still a very strong game from Dak. Did exactly what he was being asked to do. Pollard extremely efficient. Zeke was extremely efficient. Um, CD had a nice catch. Gallup had some nice catches. So it was a really strong outing by the offense and the defense. And Brett Maher, man, uh,
Mm,
should have let him kick the overtime field goal in Green Bay. Maybe we won't get there.
mm.
A little sensitive for some people, but hitting two 60-yarders back to back, laughing at the officials probably while he was doing it. Um, what was your favorite part of the game, Will?
I like that the defense showed up. That they showed this is what they're supposed to be. This way they've been most of the last year and a half, year and three quarters, whatever. And this is who they're supposed to be. So I like that they showed up and they did what they had to do.
I agree.
Yeah,
I mean, they took onus for the last game. I mean, Micah in particular was like, yeah, that's offense gave us a 14-point lead. That shit's not going to happen again. And
Prescott
then he
under
goes and
center.
balls out. So I mean, it's what he needs to do. He's the leader of the defense. If he's going to say we need to do better, it starts on him,
Yep.
and he did it. I
yeah.
mean, he was back also at defensive end, rushing the passer too, not playing linebackers.
Mhm. Yeah,
Maybe that has something to do with it.
Dallas really shut down the run game. While Dalvin Cook was pretty efficient, I just pulled it up in front of me. He actually averaged for over 6 yards a carry,
Hmm.
um, but they only ran it 11 times with Dalvin Cook, so they obviously felt like they weren't getting what they needed on the ground. We did see a lot of plays. So Willis, something we briefly spoke about was against Green Bay, how a lot of the left defensive ends were, or was it the right defensive ends? Opposite of
Right.
Rex
Yeah.
Lawrence.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
always get that wrong. Were essentially failing on assignments, right? Like the defensive end wasn't stunting in when the defensive tackle was stunting
Going
out or
out.
twisting
Yeah.
out, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
I definitely saw that fixed throughout the game against the Vikings, right? Like there were no gaping holes. If Dalvin Cook was breaking out for a decent run, it was on the outside, and you're just going to get beat. He's a really good running back. Their offensive line,
True.
didn't play as well as I think it usually did, but they were doing their job to get Dalvin Cook some yardage. So all in all, they did shut it down, which allowed them to really eat up at Kirk Cousins in the backfield and get him a lot of favorable passing situations.
I mean, it's not easy to run the ball when your defense keeps giving up points over and over again. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was 20-3 at one point. At that point, there's no running the ball at that point, right? Like you need to respond and respond soon, and they just couldn't. So it was just getting easier and easier for Micah Parsons and the boys to get out after Cousins. Man, it was really fun to watch. I just hope that they can replicate it. I'm not saying I want to see or I expect another 40-3 win against the Giants, but like
this will be a test. This will be another test, just because you got. I mean, they're a running team. They got Saquon.
mhm.
Danny Dimes likes to run the ball. He's a more mobile guy than Kirk Cousins. So
Vanilla Vic, dude. No,
What did
nobody.
you say?
You heard me. Vanilla Vic. That's
Vanilla
fucking
Vic. Yeah, no, I
Daniel
heard you.
Jones.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
But so that'll be interesting because the Giants ain't got no way to throw the ball to. Their best receiver just tore his ACL, probably Wandale Robinson. So
Right. Right.
Oh, I didn't even hear about that. Yeah, that's a rough blow for the Giants. I mean, yeah,
and they lost their best corner too.
Yeah.
and
Dory
Trayon
Jackson.
Diggs
Yeah.
is on fire, man. Completely shut down Jefferson on all five of his targets. Right, I think Jefferson had like not 3 yards, 3 catches for 30 some odd yards. Um, a lot of that can be absolutely contributed to the pass rush, but if Diggs is blown as many coverages as everybody's saying he is, then Jefferson would have
I
gotten
think
the ball.
a
So,
lot of it too was they had Diggs traveling a lot with him,
mhm.
and they were showing like it was man, but it ended up being a lot of zone, and Minnesota likes to run a lot of play action. So Kirk's got his first read as man, and then he does his fake, puts
Turns
his
his
head down
back,
to
yeah.
hand it off, and picks his head back up, and it's not man, and so he's got an extra second to think, and there's Micah Parsons and Dorrance Armstrong and Tank Lawrence in his face.
The
That
whole squad. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's there. So I think it was the defense definitely did its job, and it was a well played game plan by Dan Quinn and company.
Yeah, I mean,
I
go ahead, Will.
Good. I just think that I honestly forgot where I was going to go. Go ahead and I'll get back to you.
Oh shit!
It's
So I just know
straight blank.
Jalen Tolbert got a catch in this game. I didn't even know that. Must have been in the fourth quarter when this game was taken off fucking television. Um,
You know
but
that's
yeah,
bad.
the only thing we really missed from this game, and not really missed, but just to say is Turpin. Not any kind of crazy returns or anything. Not that they were necessary, right? But like at the rate the offense was putting up points and at the rate defense was pulling in sacks, it was kind of just like, man, it would have been nice to have Turpin even score this game or have a fat return just to get in on the
He's
fun.
saving that for Thanksgiving. He wants one of those turkey legs.
We'll see. I'll be
I
alright
haven't
with that.
seen the tape yet. So I'm going to get that all 22 joint, right? But Broadus was saying that on the play, I forget the exact play where I think the ball swung out, or they moved the pocket to the right side and it ended up getting slowed down. Over. Apparently Turpin was wide open on the left side of the field, like 50 yards down the field. Like they had the play set up where they were going right, and then he was going to throw the ball across the field, right, to Turpin on the other
Yeah,
end,
I
and
know
he
what
was
you're
wide
saying.
open.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah, I don't recall specifically, unfortunately.
So I think Dallas did something this game, which they almost never do when they're both active,
They won.
and it might be
Oh.
because Zeke's hurt. But after like the last 3 weeks, there's no way that they can give Zeke more touches than Pollard. It can't happen. That'd be offensive malpractice.
I mean, we've been saying that shit for 3 years.
I know, but I'm just saying that we've been saying it with a small sample size. But Pollard's getting like first team touches now, and he's still putting up. I mean, he's putting up numbers that makes him the best running back in the league. Granted, like I said, small sample size, but he's putting up those type of Nick Chubb, Jonathan Taylor numbers from prior years.
Yeah,
they can't give Zeke the ball outside of like short yardage stuff. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, man. I think I agree. But you're right though. The thing is that Zeke is going to get all the the touches around the end zone. Anything third and short, fourth and short, he's going to be the running back in the backfield on, I would say, the significant majority of them. So he's still that's like the thing that a lot of people don't like take into account. Like when they see that Zeke has whatever 10 carries for 40, 30 yards or whatever, like there's only 1 yard for him to get. So he can't get a 6-yard carry because he's only at the 1 yard line, right? So that does,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
um, which is, that is what it is. But I mean, I agree. I think most people agree with you.
Yeah, we saw on one of their goal line touchdowns, it was first and goal on the 2 or whatever the fuck it was. And on first and second and goal, they actually tried jamming it in with Pollard, and he couldn't quite get it. Granted, the blocking was not ideal, but I don't know if either Pollard just doesn't have the, I'm not trying to call him stupid, either the awareness or, whatever to break it out back out to the outside, but that's exactly what Zeke did on third down is same exact run right up to the right side. It was stuffed at the line, and Zeke was able to break out left side for the touchdown. Um, so again, I don't know if that's an awareness thing on Pollard's end, but yeah, I mean that's just what we expect from Zeke. He's going to get the short yards, the third and threes, twos, ones, the fourth and goals, whatever the fuck it is, right? Like I would like to think Zeke does not actually care about the
I
oh
don't think he
man, I
does.
didn't get 6 yards per carry this game, whatever. Like he's just there to win, hopefully.
I mean, he's never getting 6 yards per carry.
Well,
Not
yeah,
Lawrence.
whatever it is,
But
5 yards carry, right?
I
Like, I
mean,
mean, this game he averaged less than
I-
3, but he had
I'm,
2
I'm
touchdowns.
just, I'm just saying, like what Pollard did even in the passing game, Zeke can't do. So
No, yeah, you're right.
To be 100% fair to Zeke though,
he
there's
might not be even asked to do it, but
I,
I don't even know if he could do it if he was
I'm
asked.
saying I don't think there's many running backs that can. I don't think there's a lot
No,
of wide receivers that can make that
no, but
those
I'm
those
just,
things
yeah.
going to happen.
Oh, you're 100% right. There's very few, but I'm just saying if that's Pollard's ceiling, he has like if that's the best he can play, and he can show it and he can do it. Because I mean that 60-yard bomb, that great touch pass by Dak.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of running backs that can catch that ball that right over the shoulder like that in stride. That was
I guess
impressive.
it helps him being a former wide receiver and Coolidge. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Coolidge.
And you're right though. I mean, but like that exact play though, you really got to give the offensive line a lot of credit. They played really good. They held up all game. They made all the play. Because that was like the fifth. That was like the fourth or fifth read on that play. Was the
I
to
honestly don't
Pollard.
know if that was the case. I mean, yeah, Dak was on the looking to the left side, but I almost think that was by design to get the safety to shade over there so Pollard could have the one-on-one.
I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting thing to ask your offensive line to block for that long. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm serious because they show, he looks to the left, he looks to the left middle guy, the whatever the tight end or slot guy was, whatever, and then the last is the end.
But it just looked like to me when I saw it, it was like, yeah, he's looking to the left, but he's just doing that because it was such a seamless pass. Like he knew it seemed like he wasn't really interested in throwing the ball to the left side. He was just doing it just to move the safety, and then I'm going to Pollard here because it was just in stride.
I
I hear
play.
ya.
I don't know. I got nothing. It was
Yeah.
good throw,
Well,
good catch, good run.
yeah. This is gonna lead into
Do it.
my take is I even think Ezekiel Elliott's the third best running back on this team.
All right, now we're just
Malik
getting,
Davis could
now
be
we're just
seeing
getting
snaps
wild.
more than him.
I didn't see this coming. I can't believe this is being recorded.
He's been
Yeah.
drinking.
I mean, I'm willing to listen. Like, what? Why?
Why? I mean, look at not the same amount of snaps, but they're averaging the same yards per carry.
They didn't during the Vikings game.
You sure about that?
I can guarantee you that according to
Same yards per carry?
ESPN.com, Ezekiel Elliott averaged a 2.8 and Malik Davis averaged 1.9. That's 1 yard difference.
That's big, but I also think that should cray.
Yeah. Well, for the for the season, that's what I was going off of. I mean, granted, like I said, it's not that comparable because Zeke obviously has
Yeah, and how many
Well,
carries does Malik Davis have? Fucking
20.
25.
20 for 74, so 3.7. Zeke is 124 for 3.9. 3.9 versus 3.7.
Yeah, I mean, the shitty part about running back stats is, and at least the unfortunate part of Zeke's career is he's always gotten garbage carries and garbage time. You know,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to defend Zeke, but I don't know. I thought your hot take would at
Did,
least be
did you
reasonable.
know that Zeke only has 6 more carries than Pollard?
I
On
did
the
not know
season, you
that,
mean?
but they have been close to a. I mean, the last 2 weeks have been almost exactly a 50% split.
Yeah, Zeke has 6 more carries than Pollard on the season. Pollard's averaging a full 2 yards more per carry.
Yeah, I mean that I can't. I don't know. I mean, I can't argue with the stats, but I think Steve kind of brought this up last week too, or when we did our thing. Is that I think I think Zeke being on the team and being dressed
Yeah.
and getting the necessary. I think that you're right. Pollard can do things that Zeke can't do, which is obviously very important, and they complement each other very well. But there's things that Zeke can do significantly better than Pollard can do,
Like
and
that's what I'm saying. Oh, I agree, but what are those things? And if
Scoring
it's
on the
short
goal line.
yardage,
short
okay,
yardage, like you said, picking up the run blocks. I mean,
but okay, so Malik Davis can do the short yardage too. That's all I'm saying is the
I'm,
things that you want,
I
like
don't
the
know. We've
better.
never seen him do it, so I don't know how you could
I
say for sure he
remember
could do it.
I remember 2 games ago or whatever, the game Zeke was out. What was that? Wasn't Green Bay, it was the one prior to that.
Bears.
Bears,
Bears
yeah, yeah.
game. Malik had a really good pass pass pickup.
Yeah, I mean Pollard has some good pass pickups too. You know, I mean they're all capable, but
I
I
think this is
mean,
yeah. Maybe it's just my whole take is Zeke's not going to be here next year, so just go with Pollard and Malik.
for the rest of the season, you mean?
Maybe not, but they're not going to, so it's not doesn't really matter. So they're going to go with Zeke. But I think for like they're putting up similar numbers for the year. Granted, like I said, smaller sample size, but
Yeah, I mean it's a lot smaller sample size, right? I mean, you might not be wrong next year, but I think like the rest of this year, I think that's it's something. I don't know about a hot take. That's a wild take. That's what I'd call it or whatever, you know, like a reckless take or something, you know. But I could be 100%. I don't know if Malik Davis is the reason, but I could see I could excuse me, I could see Zeke not here next year, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, that's something we spoke about even before the season, right? Like just the way his contract kind of lines up and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah.
I think too. Like, I mean, they might not decide that, but if you want to keep Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott has to go.
Yeah, the only problem with that is that like Tony Pollard does not need to be here long term either.
No,
Because
but
you know, like if we kind of float around the idea,
with
you know
decent
Franchise tag him.
would they franchise tag him? I mean, I'm all for that because it's like $10 million, whatever. It's only one more year that they got to commit to him. You know what I mean? But then after that, man, that's then it's just too much money to give to any running back, as far as I'm concerned. With how you can just, I mean, they could just find another one
Yeah, I mean,
for 500 grand or whatever, and then you know
yeah,
that's how you're able to spend money on the defensive tackle or another line, you know, another lineman or something where you get the bang for your buck. You know what I mean?
yeah. No, I get you,
I would
but
say depending on how far Pollard can carry this team into the playoffs, is you franchise tag him, squeeze more juice out of him next year, and then yeah, move on. Like I would franchise tag him again, depending on how this playoff run goes, with the full intent of not re-signing him the following year, just like they're probably going to do with Dalton Schultz this year.
Yeah.
oh, he's gone.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Actually,
saying. You know,
they
it's
actually might be able to re-sign him just because he's not doing anything.
I
He
wouldn't
might not.
re-sign him. It's just
I
fine.
wouldn't. I'm not saying I would. I'm just saying they might.
Yeah, I mean, if they see like, because what is he supposed to be getting? He's you know whatever money he's getting this year, and I don't know. I think that team like people anyway that was interested in signing him this year,
Yeah, would still
right?
be interested.
because they're just like, all right, man, he got hurt or whatever, which is, not always a negative, because sometimes it's all right, it was a fluke injury, blah blah whatever. And my guess is a couple of these upcoming games are going to be, he's going to be a difference, or he's going to be very important where he picks up a few of these. But I mean, I don't want him back. I didn't want him back on the franchise tag. I'm so thankful. Like tomorrow or 2 days from now is Thanksgiving. I'm so thankful that they didn't sign him to a long-term deal.
Yeah, no,
You know what I'm saying? That's my Thanksgiving joint of the day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's cute.
I'm serious, man. They remember in like I guess the late 2000s, kind of like they made a bunch of bad decisions on the roster, right? Blah blah, and we're like, man, they can't ever do anything in free agency ever. And then this like in the middle of Tony Romo's career, like blah blah blah, right? They can't get enough talent. They didn't have any defense. They had no running game except for like the 2 years of DeMarco Murray, but before then and after, or they did. I mean, they had Marion Barber, but there was a problem. They had no offensive line, right? And that's why, because they kept making these mistakes, blah blah blah. But and then they finally got out of cap hell, right? And then a couple of years go by, and then they paid Zeke and Jalen Smith in like back-to-back years or the same year or whatever. And obviously it didn't work out with Jalen. And I mean, Zeke's still here, but the contract wasn't really great, on Zeke's end. You know what I mean? And I just would have felt that Schultz would have been the same thing as that, right? They signed him for like 4 years, like I don't know, $12-15 million a year, and we'd just be hating ourselves right now, like, yo. Because as you can see, Ferguson and Hendershot both can do what he can do, and they both block.
Yeah.
So
they're young and hungry.
We would be having this conversation next year, kicking ourselves in the dick because we paid, or the Jones opened up the wallet for Schultz.
Oh, yeah.
Or Schultz.
You just can't pay out. You just can't pay like solid players big boy money. You can't do it in the NFL. It's a salary cap.
You gotta learn. You gotta learn from the Indianapolis Colts and the Tom Brady, Manning years, where they've just made average dudes look good, and then they went elsewhere and were terrible.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah. Oh, all their receivers.
Yeah, Peyton Manning had how many receivers that just left outside of Marvin Harrison that left and were just terrible elsewhere?
They just probably like every year their second and third receivers are just let's just get another one. You know what I mean?
I mean the Cowboys had that too with Laurent Robinson went to Jacksonville.
Yeah. I mean, I think that happened. That all goes back to the whole thing of playing in free agency, man. If you play in free agency, you almost always overpay. You know what I'm saying? So that's why it's not good playing in there, because you almost never get your money out of there. That's why, like I always say, and it's just not a good way to try to build your team. You gotta get in there a little bit, but man, you can't make up that shit.
I guess so.
That's why the draft is important. Let's go.
Let's I guess move forward a little bit to the old Giants game. I don't really know what all we could have here. I mean, we all agree that the Dallas Cowboys should win this game. I think we all also probably agree it's going to be a lot closer than the Vikings game, and probably a lot closer than it should be, just because it's a division game and they're typically just played extremely scrappy and extremely close for no good reason. So I guess
the only way it's not close. I was going to say the only way it's not close is if the Dallas offense comes out and smacks them around early.
Yeah,
Dallas, which we talked about.
Yeah, which is very possible, right? Like if they get up, 14-0, 14-3, or somehow, crazy quick, just like they did against the Vikings, yeah, then the Giants are in a world of hurt. I could absolutely see that happening, but it's an NFC East matchup, so I just can't see it being that easy. Also, to add that the Dallas Cowboys are actually 3-7 in their last 10 Thanksgiving games, so not that history really dictates much in the NFL, but history is not on Dallas' side when it comes to Thanksgiving games. Again, at least in the last 10 years. So,
I think the Giants have only won one Thanksgiving game in the last 20 years, though.
How many have they played?
Like I think it was 3 or 4, but 1 and 3 not good ratio either. You know what I mean?
I will be interested to see what the Dallas offensive line looks like in this game. Dallas had some hints, especially at the end of the game, of what I think the offensive line is going to look like going forward when they moved Tyler Smith to guard and brought in Jason Peters to play left tackle. I
Yeah,
think they're preparing for the Tyron Smith to come back.
yeah, that's 100% right. However, I don't think that they're going to put Tyler Smith at left guard to start this game. Right? Like they'll maybe make that switch again, going into the fourth quarter depending on the score, but I mean, now is not the time for them to be toying with that. They need to still win this game. I'm not saying
Oh,
putting Tyler Smith at left guard
100%.
jeopardizes that, but winning this game comes first.
I'm just saying from based off of some people watching tape that like do offensive line stuff, they said that just from the small sample size they had there, Peters looked a lot more comfortable at tackle and vice versa. Smith looked comfortable at guard as well. It's just they looked a lot smoother playing in those positions than Peters at guard and Smith at tackle. Maybe
Yeah.
that's just because obviously Peters has played there for 18 years and Smith had all those initial reps, as it's just like riding a bike. But like I said, it should be interesting to see if they do that again and for how much. Because like you said, they got to win this game first, so I don't see them starting off that way. But just to see how much they're going to do that, if they, like you said, they did it at the fourth quarter last game. Do they do it at like halftime, try to work their way into it,
Maybe.
sort of thing, depending on the score and how the game's going? But
What do you think the score? Like, what would you give if you had to predict the score of the game? What would you predict the game to be?
Like the final outcome.
Yeah, or like at halftime, or then how do you just see it playing out? Okay. I'll go.
I'm just thinking.
I'm expecting a 14-point win. Probably close most of the game, and the Cowboys pull away probably late in the third quarter, and the fourth quarter is not really. There's no. The fourth quarter is basically just you don't need to watch, like the game's over, that type of shit.
I'll say the final score is 35-20.
Okay,
Dallas.
15. Okay, swag.
Yeah, and I would think if Dallas can get into the fourth or maybe even late into the third quarter with a 14-point lead, is probably something of a recipe to see Tyler Smith go to left guard.
I don't know that they need to. I mean,
I don't think that
do they really need to play him there just to get him snaps? I mean, does he already
they
have?
obviously feel like
Don't they already know?
I
I
mean, they
think they might
obviously
want
feel
to
like
get
it's a good idea.
maybe not just to get him snaps, but to get maybe that work in with Biotish next to
Snaps.
Biotish in a game situation. But like I'm just saying, maybe he might not need the snaps, but to get that cohesion there going.
Yeah, that snaps. I don't know.
And for
Live
score,
I buy that. Yeah.
for score, 37-13.
Oh, I thought I was an animal for it. Okay, 37. Yeah, I mean, I've said this before. I don't think the Giants are any good at all. But you're right. I think that just being a conference or a division game, it'll stay close for a little while. But maybe, I mean, honestly, I was originally gonna say 17, but then then I was like, all right, I'll be safe and do 14, right? But I think it sounds like I'm kind of surprised we're all on the same page-ish. It sounds.
I know. I think I texted this to you guys previously, but the Vikings are now 8-2 on the season. They have a negative 2-point differential on the season.
Yeah.
How crazy is that?
Suckers.
And granted, yeah, they just lost by 37, so that's gonna skew it. But
I mean, they are who we thought they were. They just kept. They won the 7 games in a row, all of them by one score, and then what they say 5 of the 7 games they won come from behind at the end, or they like in the last whatever. I mean that's a lot of fucking games to be doing that kind of wild stuff.
It's a lot of games to be lucky, right? Like you winning one score games like that. There's always luck involved.
I mean, you saw the catch. I mean, they had to have that wild catch just by Jefferson to be able to beat Buffalo, and then Buffalo drive the ball down the field, and then Allen just get crazy at the end and throw the game away.
Fumble in the end zone, interception in the end zone. Yeah. I mean, the Vikings offense definitely played well there, but I would say the Bills lost it more than anything.
But that's the reason why you guys, I assume, want OBJ, right? Because you look around and you see that really the only team ahead of us, or I mean, the only team technically, or there's two teams ahead of us still. Minnesota's still ahead of us technically in the win-loss record, and so is the Eagles, right? But you're not afraid of either one of those teams, right? And then the only team, or I think we talked, I don't remember who, whatever, but like the only team that I don't want to play. I don't want to play the 49ers because I just don't think we got that kind of toughness. I mean, I want to play Garoppolo. You know what I'm saying? I got no problem with that or whatever. But like that's why you want to get OBJ, just to get over the hump, right? To just make sure we can put our best team forward, even though if we may be the best team already, right?
Yeah.
I mean, or are you guys saying
Dallas,
like that makes no difference?
I
don't.
I think.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Steve.
I would say, I could comfortably say that I think Dallas is the best team in the NFC, but that doesn't mean I don't think they can't lose, right? Like I can see them playing the Eagles in the playoffs and losing because the Eagles can run the ball and Dallas has yet to consistently stop the run. Same thing for the 49ers. Same thing, quite honestly, for the Vikings, even though we just beat the brakes off of them.
Yeah, but that's my point, though. That's exactly my point. Is that nobody is definitely better than us. So let's just get OBJ and try to make us better than everybody.
More.
Right? You know what I mean? Exactly. Yeah.
You can never have too many playmakers. And Dallas, that is one thing Dallas doesn't have enough of, especially on the outside. So he would come in and be arguably, if not your second best, your third best wide receiver.
Yeah, I think he's a number 3. I think
we disagree, but that's fine.
I mean, he's gonna get, from what it sounds like, is he's just getting $20 million. So he's getting paid like a number 1, even though he's probably the 2-3.
We got OBJ at home for that money. Noah Brown, dude.
Oh, fair enough.
Please stop.
I mean, Noah Brown's got better stats this year. You know what I'm saying? Think about that. You know.
So OBJ gives you, if he's still got it a little bit, he gives you the ability to win on the outside one-on-one right away. That's something you don't have right now out of anybody, really. He gives you that Amari Cooper route running ability.
How much are you guys willing to mortgage, though, in order to make sure that he's here?
I give him 2-3 years.
At $20 million?
No. That's not a deal I would sign.
I'd give him, it'd be, so with it prorated, and so probably it'd be 3 years.
I'd give him as much money as possible this year. As much possible.
Yeah, I'd give him 3 years. I think I said it before. I'd give him 3 years. Like, it has to be, so 20 next year, the year after would be 40. So 3 years, 45 million.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it sounds like it's going to take. I mean, I don't know, but that's just what it sounds like everybody's talking about, is that he, like Christian Kirk got like $21 million a year or whatever.
Yeah.
You know? So I think he's just going to look at that and say, hey.
I mean, I don't know contracts, right? There's a reason why I don't do this shit for a living. I would, fuck it, whatever, prorate him the 21 million for this year, so whatever that works out to, and then incentives. Like, dude, like, look, if you're the Super Bowl MVP, we'll give you another, fucking million. If you catch X amount of touchdowns, we'll give you another million or whatever it is. Like, just load it up this year. You don't need OBJ long term. Dallas needs to draft a receiver next year anyway.
In order to get him, though, that's what it's probably going to take, though, is to give him the extra. I mean, maybe it doesn't need to take 2 years, but maybe it's going to like have to guarantee next year. You know, because he's been on 1-year contracts for like 3 years or whatever. Or he's been on 3 different. He's been on 3 different teams in the last 3 years.
Yeah. You don't need to fuck around and not give him a deal, and all of a sudden he just goes to the 49ers, and you'll have to deal with him in the playoffs, possibly.
That's not a reason to overpay. I mean, because,
it is. If you have it, it is.
Nah, because you're probably losing to the 49ers anyway. I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not okay. I would not be okay. Not that Dallas needs my permission, obviously, but I would not be okay with them
They haven't done
fucking
it in a
guaranteeing
while.
a fuck ton of money just to lose in the NFC Championship game. Like, that's why I would be okay with give him whatever the fuck he wants this year. Like, who cares?
That's what I'm saying. He's going to want a multi-year deal. That's what he's asking for. Would you do what? Would you do 2 years, 40 million, which comes down to like 35? Or
Next year? Yeah, because
No,
that's I mean that's
no, because no, I mean there's multiple reasons, and I know nobody's gonna like this, but this just proves you never should have moved on from Amari Cooper. I know that's not a good
well,
answer because
obviously,
that's
but
done with,
that's
right? But like, why are you paying a dude 20 million to be your third receiver at best, your second receiver, right? Like, and that's assuming he's gonna stay healthy.
it's a passing league. Gives you options. If you have
You
if
could go
he's good,
draft an option for fucking $1 million next year.
you just
doesn't
did.
doesn't help doesn't help you this year though.
Yeah, you did draft an option. He can't see the field.
Yeah, I mean
You drafted Jalen Tolbert.
that's your boy Will McClay's fault though. That's I don't know. I think that's apples to
But
oranges.
you know this guy's good,
If
or
he's
at least
healthy, he's coming off
historically.
2 ACL injuries. Why would you give a dude with 2 ACL injuries a long-term deal? That's dumb.
I mean I don't want to, but I think that's what it's going to take if you want to get him, or if you
Yeah,
think
then
he's I mean I'm 100% with you. I'd give like if however many games he can play this year, I'd give him $1.5 million each game or $2 million each game this year. And I'd say go test your luck and free. Like I would try to overspend. Like if it's really between him and the Giants, I'd say, hey man, you want to go play the Giants
Oh,
next year? Then go to the Giants next year. But I'm going to give you $2 million each game this year.
it can't be between the Giants and the Cowboys. I mean, I know that's what people are saying. There's
Oh,
definitely a
what if
third.
What if the Giants beat the Cowboys on tomorrow Thursday? How why would it not be the Giants? They need a receiver bad as hell. He's from New York.
Yeah, they're Daniel Jones is your quarterback. They're not a throwing team. He's not going to get the ball.
So who do you oppose he's going to? Because the 49ers don't throw the ball either. So why would he want to go to Jimmy Garoppolo?
They're going to win. They got a better chance at winning than the Giants do. You could also go to the Chiefs. The Chiefs need help at wide receiver. Like they got 3 wide receivers out this week because of injury. They're throwing out Kadarius Toney, who got 0 catches for 0 yards last game.
49ers have no cap space. I mean, I understand that can be fucking worked with or whatever,
I
but
assume the Chiefs don't, or the Chiefs probably don't either.
I'll tell you
Yeah, they can work. Dallas is the only team that doesn't need to do stuff, or one of the only teams that doesn't need to do stuff, funky stuff around to make room.
Funky town,
dude. I don't see the Chiefs. Kansas City. Oh, right there. Yeah, I mean they got less than the 49ers. They both have less than 5 million in cap space.
Buffalo's another team, but they're cold weather. But they got they're gonna compete. They got a quarterback that can throw the ball. He'd be another number 2, number 3 guy there.
True, but they might not make the playoffs.
Maybe
5-4, right, or something wild like that. Yeah, I mean I don't know. I guess to keep it short, like I've said, a long-term deal is bad for I think both sides. I mean I think if OBJ was patient, he gets a fucking fat guaranteed deal this year, stays healthy, and then gets a above average long term deal next year from another team. Right? Like all he has to do is prove he can stay healthy and catch the fucking ball. Like he's got to know that's an option, right? But
I think he wants like a 2-year deal because, like as we see with Gallup this year, coming off the ACL, it takes some time, just from his thinking. So he wants to prove he can stay healthy a little bit this year, and then ball out next year, and then get his last big paycheck the following year.
That's a perfectly good example of as to why Dallas should not give him a long term deal now. Like and why he shouldn't want one. Ball out this year, ball out in the playoffs, and then go get paid in the offseason. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's easier said than done, right? I've never been handed that kind of money.
But as you said, he's coming off of 2 ACLs. He's going to want to get that money now.
If somebody offers him the money, he's going to take it though. Like that's the whole thing. Is anybody? Because that's what other thing is. Like you can't just be bidding against yourself. The Dallas needs to know that there's somebody actually willing to give them the money.
They need to figure out what the going rate is. what the actual going rate is, what people are offering. And granted, that's what Jerry Jones, Will McClay, and all them need to find out. So, like you said, they're not bidding against themselves.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. I just hope that I assume whatever team he signs with, whatever, he's got to have to pass a physical anyway, so the team will know, what the actual situation is or whatever with him. That's kind of important. So
True. We'll see. Well, I
the better
suppose
one on Thanksgiving. Now that's all I know. Yeah.
better win on Thanksgiving. Well, yeah, we can wrap it out there. Any last minute say Browns or alibis?
No, I'm ready to ride.
Okay.
Go Cowboys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Roll Tide.